There's a story of unfailing love that echoes in my heart. There's a promise that you're always here. Your word will light my path. We shall not fear the days to come. You are with us to the end. And everything is possible through God who gives us strength. You make everything brand new, 'cause you're the God of miracles. And everything is possible through God who gives us strength. Whether I am rich or I am poor, I will give you thanks. I will lift my voice to sing your praise in every circumstance. Whether found in sickness or in health, I have learned to be content. 'Cause everything is possible through God who gives us strength. You make everything brand new, 'cause you're the God of miracles. And everything is possible through God who gives us strength. For whoever shall believe, Jesus made a way. His blood poured out on Calvary has broken every chain. You make everything brand new. You're the God of miracles. And everything is possible through God who gives us strength. You make everything brand new, because you're the God of miracles. And everything is possible through God who gives us strength. Oh, everything is possible through God who gives us strength. Yes, everything is possible through God who gives us strength.
Good morning and welcome everyone to Unity of the Seacoast Sunday service. Welcome back, Barb. It's nice to see you here. Barb is our musical director, and she had been out with COVID. Great to see her back and in good health.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome any new listeners here. You will have a treat today, as always. Please silence your cell phones if you have not already done so for the service. I'd like to say today's daily word. The daily word is joy. I delight in simple joys. Joy, it has been said, comes much more from wanting what you have than from wanting what you want, from having what you want. Reflecting on this thought, I embrace the simple joys that this day offers. I enjoy my morning coffee or tea, savoring its flavor and fragrance. Walking through my neighborhood, I greet friends, smile at people I haven't met, and enjoy the fresh air. I find satisfaction in taking care of my home, working at my job, or helping a friend. Even if I am not with them today, I feel joy as I think of my connection with people I care about most. I know joy whenever I look for possibilities rather than focusing on problems. My greatest joy is my awareness that whatever I am, whatever I'm doing, God is always with me. Psalm 16:11. You show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. In your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Joy. I delight in simple joys. So I'd like to say the beginning of this again because I messed it up a little bit, and I think it's important. Um, joy has been joy. It has been said comes much more from wanting what we have than from having what we want. Now I'd like to say our mission statement, and it'll be scrolling on the screen as I say it. Our mission statement is: we are a loving, nurturing community dedicated to being a positive path to spiritual living, to awaken oneness with God within us all. So now it's time to do a tradition that we do weekly. It's such a nice tradition. It connects us to each other in a warm way. It is called Namaste, which is a Sanskrit word meaning the Christ in me sees and honors the Christ in you, or the love in me sees and honors the love in you. So take a minute, put your hands together, and just look at someone near you and honor them by saying Namaste. And Namaste to everyone at home.
God is my help in every need. God does my every hunger feed. God walks beside me, guides my way through every moment of the day. Wherever we are, God is wherever we go. God is, let everybody know. God is, all is well. Whenever we give, God is. Whenever we love, God is. There's gonna be enough. God is, all is well. I now am wise, I now am true, patient, kind, and loving too. All things I am, can do, and be through Christ the truth that lives in me. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever we go, God is. Let everybody know. God is, all is well. Whenever we give, God is. Whenever we love, God is always gonna be enough. God is, all is well. God is my health, I can't be sick. God is my strength, unfailing quick. God is my all, I know no fear. Since God in love and truth are here. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever we go, God is. Let everybody know. God is, and all is well. Whenever we give, God is. Whenever we love, God is always gonna be enough. God is all is well. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever we go, God is. Let everybody know God is, and all is well. Whenever we give, God is. Whenever we love, God is always gonna be enough. God is, and all is well. All is well.
Lynn, that was wonderful. So today is a day that I'm noticing, as usual. Um, I am one of God's children, and God's children often mess up things. Um, and so that's okay. I think Barbara had the look on her face earlier because I'm doing the order of service wrong. So that's okay. I don't want you to all get bored with repetition. So just want to mention, Charlie has a meditation group on the first Monday of each month. It's a wonderful meditation group. It's brief. Charlie is a real jokester, but it's wonderful to see him do something different that shows a different side of him. So please tune in for the meditation if you can. It's at 7 o'clock on the first Monday of every month. Um, Also want to say that we broadcast on YouTube and on Facebook Live. So feel free to use either platform. On Facebook, we have the talks archived. So you can go back and listen to a talk if you'd like to. Like to thank everybody last week who went to the Rochester walk that we had for the Rochester Child Care Center. And I'd also like to mention that we are starting a coat drive here, starting today. We're collecting coats, hats, mittens, all that sort of thing for people in need. And we'll be bringing it to Operation Blessing for them to give out to people in need. So feel free to bring a coat over to here at the McConnell Center, 246, 61 Locust Street, Unit 246. And if you have any questions, you can email us at Unity of the Seacoast. Oh, the other thing is we are having a special community meeting next Sunday. Please keep that in mind and come here, even if you're somebody who watches online, because this is an important meeting. The church has been struggling with finances, and we will have to talk about different ways to bring, finances in for the church, or other opportunities we may have to keep the church going. So it's very important that you attend this service. This meeting, it will be right after service and fellowship next Sunday, the 23rd. And now, well, I think everybody knows where to send checks. If you want to donate, it's if you want to send an actual check, it's 246, Suite 246, McConnell Center, 61 Locust Street in Dover. And we use Tidely as an app. Tidely is just an easy way for people to give regularly without having to send a check in. So it's wonderful when people can give what they can to keep us going. This is a very meaningful community to all of us, and we really hope for your support. And now, I would like to introduce our wonderful speaker who knows not only the order of the service, but he also speaks really well. Tells us things that are very helpful for us to use in a practical way. Thank you.
Tracy, thank you so much. Barbara, Lynn, Charlie. I'm new at the foot yet stuff. It's only my first week back on my leg. But I want to thank the choir. That was awesome. I'm grinning from ear to ear, and you're right. That was a great song choice. Couple things I want to touch on before I start. Beyond the meeting next week, there is a play that we're going to. Kevin, our substitute musician, our guest musician, is playing Shrek in the role Shrek. And I can't think of the name of the place. We bought tickets for Sunday's matinee at 2 o'clock, Epping Community Theater. So if you guys are looking for a nice afternoon that's not football, you can record football. I'm going to record football. I'll probably listen to it in one ear. But it's a great time, great way to support the people who support us, and a great way to get together and do stuff. The other thing on the meeting that we're talking about, we're coming into our 6th month that we've been in person. And we're at a crossroads. Financially, we're fighting as hard as we can. We're doing as much as we can, but we need input. We need to understand how to grow this church. We cannot do it alone, but as a community, we can get together and we can come up with ways to grow this church, to make it support itself. It's very, very important, at least to me, hopefully to you. And if that's not the way it goes, that's just not the way it goes. But that is our goal. Today's talk is from the prayer of protection. This is something that I've had rolling around in my head. I've wanted to do this talk for a long time. The prayer means something to me. We recite this prayer each week. Most of the Unity churches end their service with the prayer of protection. It's something we recite, and hopefully it's something that we each feel. It was written by James Dillet Freeman, a Unity minister. And I first heard this prayer while sitting in the hospital room with my brother. He was in a coma. My sister-in-law and her children recited the prayer. They were members of Unity. And then the next time I heard it was when Reverend Diane Robinson, their minister, who became my minister, said it a few days later. And there are those speakers who create a moment when they speak. Diane is one of those speakers. She has this soft but very commanding tone in her voice that always carries some meaning. And I had no bond or thought to this poem when my sister and my nieces and nephews recited, but when Diane recited it, I became attached to it. The prayer of protection is known the world over, and Unity is often asked how it came into existence. Well, James Dillet Freeman explained once in a column that he wrote called Life is Wonder. So here are his words taken from truthunity.org. And most of this talk is taken from truthunity.org. So Mark Hicks, I want to thank you for your effort in this. Mark Hicks joined us a few weeks ago listening, and he is the guy who puts together so much of what Unity is online, the past history, articles, all that, and puts it in truthunity.org. So if you ever get time to just rummage through and want to learn the history of Unity, it's a great source. James Dillet Freeman wrote this. When World War II was raging in Europe, we received many letters and phone calls from people caught in the conflict. But for a long time, we did not have a prayer of protection, nothing that we were satisfied with. This is how one came. Silent Unity has always written a Christmas prayer just for the silent for the Silent Unity workers, and in 1941, I was asked to prepare this service. I had never before needed a prayer of protection, but in 1940, we needed one. So I wrote one to go with the Christmas service. What I wrote was a little 4-line verse, sort of rhyming poem. The light of God directs me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of Christ protects me. The presence of God upholds me. I had hardly finished this Christmas service before Silent Unity came to me and again asked me to write a protection pamphlet that we could send to people. And so I did. It was called The Protecting Spirit, a prayer for wartime. They told me they wanted affirmative prayers for protection on the back page, and among these would be the verse from the 23rd Psalm. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. One of the young women who were working in Silent Unity was reading my manuscript as I wrote it. And as she finished it, she came to me and said, Jim, if I were a woman in England and they were dropping bombs on my roof, or if I was a soldier, or someone was pointing a loaded gun at me, I would not want to feel that I was walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Can't you do better than that? I thought, you want me to do better than the 23rd Psalm? You have to be out of your mind. But rolling around in the back of my mind was this little verse, this little poem that appeared as a protection for Christmas. So how the prayer of protection was written? Well, it was written for Silent Unity. What I had written for Silent Unity came rolling back to the front of my mind and demanded I pay attention to it. It enticed me to see what I could make of it. First, I took the rhymes from it because I felt it would be more universally received if it was not a rhyme. Then I changed Christ to God. It had been Christ because it was a Christmas prayer, but I felt if we were going to send it around the world, God might be more acceptable to more people. So the little prayer became, the light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God protects me, the presence of God watches over me. And that's the way it was first printed. Then a line came to me that I felt would make the prayer more powerful. And that line is, wherever I am, God is. I added the 5th line, the prayer of protection. And it first appeared as a 4-line prayer in 1941. And then we reprinted it in 1943. And it has appeared in that form ever since with that 5th line. Again, the light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. And wherever I am, God is. Then he later said, the prayer of protection came through change after change. Not at all like his other poem, I Am There, when I felt God spoke those words to me. But what is the Word of God? Is it possible? It is possible that no prayer Unity has ever printed has reached more people over and over. But in almost every Unity church uses it to close their service. And like the prayer, I am there, it was also carried to the moon. Because on the very first moon flight on Apollo 11, astronaut Colonel Edwin Buzz Aldrin carried the Unity prayer of protection with him. He did not know me, he did not know Unity. The prayer of protection is one of 2 of Freeman's poems that were carried to the moon. In 1971, a microfilm of the prayer, I Am There, was carried to the moon and left by Apollo astronaut 15, James B. Irwin. Now, his poems have appeared in hundreds of publications that have no connection with Unity. And millions of people have carried the prayer protection around on cards that fit into their pockets, pocketbooks, and billfolds. It's been translated into many languages. Sometimes it appears with him as the author. Sometimes no author is given, and sometimes other people claim it as the author. It has been changed and changed before it reached the form that it is now in. And now that best meets people's needs. The prayer is a product of much thought and concentration of mind. The mind is willing to stay open and to receive divine inspiration. He also writes, I think of Unity's prayer protection as much as God's word, as I am there. Because sometimes God speaks to us when we don't even know it is God. I think of God as many ways of speaking to us, not only through words that we hear with our ears, but God speaks to our hearts and minds, and sometimes God's message has nothing to do with words. God is love, intelligence, and life. More than anything, we say God is, or we even imagine God is. God is universal presence and power, and is seeking to express truth and beauty and good through all of us and through each of us. His poem, I am there. Do you need me? I am there. You cannot see me, yet I am the light that you see by. You cannot hear me, yet I speak through your voice. You cannot feel me, yet I am the power at work in your hands. I am at work, though you do not understand my ways. I am at work, though you do not recognize my works. I am not strange visions. I am not mysteries. Only in absolute stillness beyond self can you know me as I am, but then as a feeling and a faith. Yet I am there, yet I hear, yet I answer. When you need me, I am there. Even if you deny me, I am there. Even when you feel most alone, I am there. Even in your pain, I am there. I am there when you pray and when you do not pray. I am in you and you are in me. Only in your mind can you feel separate from me. Only in your mind are you in the midst of yours and mine. Yet only in your mind can you know me and experience me. Empty your heart of empty fears. When you get yourself out of the way, I am there. You can do of yourself nothing, but I can do all. I am in all. Though you may not see the good, good is there, for I am there. I am there because I have to be, because I am. Only in me does the world have meaning. Only out of me does the world take form. Only because of me does the world go forward. I am the law on which movement of the stars and the growth of the living cells are founded. I am the love that is law's fulfilling. I am assurance. I am peace. I am oneness. I am the law that you can live by. I am the love that you can cling to. I am your assurance. I am your peace. I am one with you. I am. Though you fail to find me, I do not fail you. Though your faith in me is unsure, my faith in you never wavers. Because I know you, because I love you. Beloved, I am there. Now, how did this poem come about? It was in 1947 when James Dillet Freeman heard the words that inspired this beloved poem, I am there. His wife, Catherine, was in the hospital after undergoing surgery for cancer. It was a time of deep personal need. Freeman recalled, "I was in great anguish of spirit. When the doctors told him that Catherine had terminal cancer, he left the hospital and went to the Silent Unity Prayer and Healing Room, then at Unity headquarters. God," he prayed aloud, "if you are there, please allow my Catherine to live. Oh God, where are you?" Freeman would later recall that he heard a clear, audible, empathetic voice that spoke to him. "Do you need me? I am there." He looked around to see who was talking, but saw no one. While he bowed his head, he could still hear those words and felt hope and comfort. Upon reflection, Reem recalled later at the hospital scene when the doctors emerged from the surgery room, and the doctor said, as he walked slowly over and shook his head, he told Freeman, "I'm sorry the cancer had spread. Catherine just has months to live." A few days later, while sitting in the hospital, Freeman shared the doctor's prognosis with his wife, Catherine, but she seemed to already know. Amid her weakened condition, he said the couple kept an upbeat facade to comfort each other. And Freeman recalled taking her hand and laying down in the bed beside her. All at once, there was a presence in the room, and we knew we were not alone. Several days later, he took Catherine home. She was in a lot of pain. And Freeman said, but her courage carried them both. And in the evenings, when the pain was nearly unbearable, Freeman would often read to her words, the words that he had heard in the chapel. "Do you need me? I am there." She lived for 10 months after the diagnosis. Although a great loss to him, he said he never did lose faith. Rather, he was sustained by his wife's faithful influence. He said the experience taught him that God's love is always present. The original verses of "I Am There" tell each phase of the months leading to Catherine's transition. During this 10 months, as the feelings and emotions came, each one he wrote down into this poem. "Do you need me?" And the divine response of assurance, "I am there," always came back to him. On August 7th, 1971, this poem was carried to the moon again on Apollo 15 by James B. Irwin, David Scott, and Alfred Worden, and stored in a microfilm. The poem was intended to be left there for future space explorations. And Freeman received a letter from Irwin on August 30th, verifying the fact that his poem, "I Am There," was on board the lunar module on its mission to the Hadley-Apennine region of the moon. Later in November, Irwin visited Unity Village to meet with Freeman. The poem was also adapted into a planetarium video by the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, a musical score, artwork, and photographic support. Special effects were added, and it was named a Christmas star for that presentation. James Freeman was born Abraham Freeman in Wilmington, Delaware, on March 20th, 1912, 25 days before the Titanic sank, and exactly 1 month before Fenway Park opened. I had to get that in. He took the name James. At 10, his family moved to Kansas City, Missouri. At 17, he was given a summer job working at the Unity School by Myrtle Fillmore, so he could support himself while attending the University of Missouri. Part of his heritage was Choctaw and Cherokee, and he saw a connection between how Unity thought and Native spirituality. After his postgraduate from the University of Missouri, he took a job as a letter writer at Unity's prayer ministry. He worked in Silent Unity most of his life. He wrote a history of the Unity School of Christianity. He wrote a history of Unity. He was director of Unity's ministerial program for 20 years. He was a writer of the Daily Word. He was married 3 times. His second wife passed from Alzheimer's in 1993. He married his third wife and moved to Hawaii, where he attended the Unity of Windward, which is now run by another friend of mine, Reverend Geo Downer. James Dillet Freeman passed in 2003. He's been referred to as the poet laureate to the moon. And I like to think, because of him, Unity is the predominant religion on the moon. They don't have as many services as we do, but we'll give them a pass. He was a fairly prolific writer, but those 2 poems, The Prayer Protection and I Am There, made him a millionaire. I want you to think about that. First, he did what he loved and believed in. And even in today's world, to become a millionaire from poetry is a difficult task. But back then, a millionaire was a rare thing. Most writers of any kind do not accomplish this task. And he did it by the writing of just 2 poems. Think about how many copies of 2 poems had to be sold to make that dream. His prayer protection is just a mix of words that we recite, and we may not feel connected to it. It's easy not to feel connected to anything we recite as a group until the words hit in that right moment, and then they have meaning to you, and you become attached to them. Think of that. During the wars, when people were huddled together or alone, waiting for the bombing to stop, or having to venture out to fight. Think of how many times people have grasped that poem in their hour of need and darkness, facing life-altering trauma or any of the fears that life can bring. And I think of Reverend Diane Robinson standing in the ICU, reading that poem, reading it to my brother, reading it to my sister and her children. She read it to me. She, through those words, were offering us strength to get us through what was going to be what she knew a very difficult couple of months. So why should or does his story matter to you? Well, maybe it won't. But there are a couple lessons here. First is know yourself. He always understood himself to be a spiritual creation. Find something you love and do it. He found writing. He found spirituality. He found sharing. Within this, he was able to sustain his faith. And in his and his wife's dark hour, their faith allowed them to craft this poem, I Am There. It allowed each other to be strong. We also learn not to dismiss a small idea, a 4 to 5 line poem that has affirmed faith for the millions. So you may have something that rolls around that you think is nothing. Give it the value, give it its worth that it's due. It may seem little to you, but it may be big to the rest of the world. The other thing is we talk about connecting the dots in our life. His life was a series of well-connected dots. Something he saw from the connections to Choctaw and Cherokee to Unity, the move to Kansas City when he was a teen, to take a summer job with Myrtle Fillmore, to working his whole life with Unity, to having 2 poems, not just one, but 2 poems brought to the moon. So what in your life can you connect to build your life? Can you take away from your life and from all that we talk about that anything and anything is possible? I would like to bring this to a meditation. I'll step aside.
I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my power over the mountains. I send my power over the sea. I send my power into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me.
So I'm not sure if anyone noticed coming in this morning that there are some booklets out by our welcoming table. Our friend Frank created this prayer book, The Power of Prayer. Frank, thank you for this gift. It arrived yesterday in the mail, and I've been reading some of it. It's just a really, really nice collection of prayers and stories, and I'm humbled by this. And as I read it, I found a few things that I decided I was going to make my meditation from this book this morning. So again, Frank, thank you. And there's several copies by the welcoming table where we have the mask and all that, if you guys would like to take one home. So I'm going to ask each of you to close your eyes. Take in a deep breath. And begin to settle into your comfortable breathing pattern. In, out. Remembering to hesitate between each breath. And as we come together, we remember there is only one presence, one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, great omnipresence. I experience prayer as an attunement, getting my body still, my mind focused, my heart open so my spirit can make the connection to Source, to bring into harmony, to make aware, to make responsive. I have this experience in all my life. while singing, praying, or tuning my life. As the connection becomes clearer, and inspiration connects knowledge with poetry, I remember that my body is made of the same stuff as the stars and the ocean. I am filled with wonder and awe. I am open to all the divine has to share with me. I am connected with Source, and I bask in the oneness. In the power of prayer, I realize wholeness. This attunement is my cure for the pain and feeling of disconnected. This attunement leads me back to spiritual principles with wonder, with intricate, elegant orchestration between all the diverse aspects and expressions of divine nature. This attunement lives in me, as me, through me, and all those with whom I interact. I am now in the sacred place, the place where the Father and I are one. I close the door to all distractions, to all external issues. I surrender myself to the divine presence in the assurance that all sorrow is healed. The outpouring of healing and comforting love brings peace and calm to my soul. Infinite wisdom reveals to me a new understanding of my life and of my circumstances. Guided and inspired, I find the faith to live each day with faith, with joy, with enthusiasm. Dear God, this moment is our moment. In it, I experience the gift of presence, and I find the peace that I am looking for. I open wide the doors of my being to receive the wonderful blessings and the goodness prepared for me. Reverend Beatrice Delano Bell. I invite each of you to come back to me. Just kind of let your body stretch out. And I'd like you to start thinking about others in your life. And I'm going to try something different that I don't usually do when we do the prayer for others. I was asked this week if I can mention someone's name. And we had done this in other churches before, where as we're praying for someone, we mention their name. A friend of mine's daughter, Sinead, is being stationed in Saudi Arabia, and she's very upset and worried. So as we do our prayer, I'd like you guys to think of the person that you're praying for. And if you feel comfortable here, say their name out loud. And at home, if you feel comfortable, type their name in the box. If not, their initials or a heart emoji. And I always say, and I hope you guys do this, that the fastest way to make a prayer land is to just contact the person. You don't have to say, I'm praying for you. Just say, hey, how's your day? I was thinking of you. Everything is a prayer. When you reach out and you contact and you make that smile, that prayer is answered. It's hard to feel less about yourself or less than or totally immersed when you know that other people love you and want to reach out. So be that person. Don't wait for them. Just be that person. So I think of people today. I think of Gary. I think of Brenda. I think of you, Frank. I think of family members. I think of Sinead. And I think of her mom, Sheila. I think of those who are always worried, always trying to face something brave. And I think the gift of those who aren't struggling that they have to share with the world. And we hold them in positive affirmation of their health and wholeness and divinity. So if there's anyone you're thinking about, I ask you to say their name now or type it in the box. We send this prayer, this affirmation out to the whole world. The world seems to struggle at times, and it seems to be fine at times. We worry about the health of our planet. We worry about hunger and violence and attitudes and wars. Trials come and pass, but we remain, Spirit remains. The Spirit is always present. And we hold this as a truth. We hold it from the Christ within to our connection to God. And we know that wherever we are well. There's also another prayer that I'd like to do. And as we mentioned, our website, we have the Tidely. Would someone be interested in? Thank you. Doing our offerings. And while this goes around, Barbara will play us a song.
Travel on, great soul. Carry on, wise one. May the light unfold as your story's told. You are here and there. Your presence lives on everywhere. So we pause and we know with God you go. From the deep within, from the great beyond, you sent your blessing out, and so we sing this song. For your love always travel on. Oh, your light will always travel on. Yes, your grace will always travel on.
Barbara, thank you. Was that the one you were telling about?
Yeah,
Is that James Dillet Freeman?
based on the travel.
Awesome. Okay, so there's a third one I didn't know, The Traveler by James Dillet Freeman. I'm going to ask each one of you to take your hand, hold it over your heart, and recite with me the prayer of tithes and offerings. divine love as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. Bonnie, thank you. I'd like to thank everyone today who participated in this service. This service meant a lot to me just because I love that poem and I like reading about him and his works. I have a couple of his books just in the office. Next week, I'm going to do, for those who don't know, part of my deal is if you come here for a while, you should learn about what unity is, unity basics. So next week, my talk is back to basics. And it breaks down my philosophy, unity's philosophy, and how it can work for you. So I hope you guys enjoy me to get a better understanding of who we are and what we are. And now, if you join me, we will recite the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And we are richly blessed. And I do promise I will sync up my version with the one on the screen. So please join us for the closing song, and I humbly thank you.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, in oneness all are we. In love we walk with each other, in perfect harmony. Peace has begun with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, this truth is my joy is found. To live each moment in love, each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me.